who was your number 4 quarterback for this draft class?
Well, first off, before I announce mine, if I am looking over to the side, it's because I'm looking at my notes, because when we get into this whole stuff, there's a lot of things to say about quarterbacks, so I just wanted to say that ahead of time, because I won't be looking straight at the camera the whole time. At number 4, though, I have, and this might be controversial, because I've seen some people put him as high as number 1, but to me, I have Will Levis out of Kentucky. He's tall, he's got a big arm. He is the prototypical quarterback. Like back, 30 years ago, like this guy was the guy that every team wanted, right? But the issues that I see out of Will Levis is he's a bit turnover prone, not only interceptions, but he also fumbles sometimes. I think that his pocket awareness is lacking. He can take some pretty unnecessary sacks. He can hold on to the ball for too long, which allows for the play to break down. I don't know, just those kind of things. It reminds me of Daniel Jones, and you know how I feel about Daniel Jones. But that being said, he also does have a lot of really good qualities, right? Like I said, he's a big, tall, strong-arm quarterback. So he's going to be able to get the ball for the most part wherever he wants. There's not going to be any throws in terms of specific spots on the field that he probably can't make. Now, he's not going to be Josh Allen, who can throw it 80 yards with a flick of a wrist. But he is a very big, strong arm quarterback. So he's got that. He's got size, got the athleticism. He ran a 4.75 at the combine, which isn't groundbreaking, but in today's NFL, that's good enough to at least be somewhat mobile. When the defense presents the opportunity, you can sit there and you can take off. So yeah, overall, I got Will Levis at 4 for me. I still think that he could go first round. I would say if it was up to me, he would be a second round, like an early second round pick. Just because, like I said, the issues that I see with him, it reminds me a little bit of Daniel Jones, maybe Sam Darnold coming out of college. I thought he had some of these similar issues. But compared to those guys, I think he has a stronger arm, and is not necessarily more athletic, but because like they're both faster than he is, but doesn't have some of those concerns when it comes to like being able to put the ball deep downfield, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, Will Levis, he is my number 4 quarterback. What about you?
I got a bad feeling we're gonna have the exact same rankings.
Yeah, we might.
Because I'm starting this. Yeah, so I have Levis at 4 as well. You really took like the pocket presence, lack of pocket presence. That was the main concern. So you already noted that with the fumbling. Yeah, like you mentioned his combine stats, like, and he did a few times. He ran out and scrambled, but he didn't do that enough. And I think it's like a good / bad thing with him, because sometimes he played at Kentucky, so not a great offensive line. So I will give him credit a little bit there, where he was able to hang in there, make make throws, with trash around him. But like you mentioned, for every 1 or 2 of those, there was a time where it's like, okay, you should have really gotten out there and you try to weather the storm, stand tall in the pocket, and it didn't work out. You got strip sack, fumbled, or took a bad sack, where opposed to where you could have just broke the pocket, gain yards, or just thrown it out of bounds, but and then decision making, you already hit on that. I think because of that too, he was I felt like at times slow to get through his progressions. It's like you said, I love how you said he kind of would have been great 30 years ago, because like I kind of thought of his style very similar. I obviously didn't watch him playing. I only watched a few highlights, but like you said, those older quarterbacks, the Phil Simms, like those big old school quarterbacks that just stood in there and had strong arms. But Levis obviously struggles a little more with accuracy maybe than those guys, but could be fixable. And yeah, you mentioned big arm. Yeah, it does have a big arm, but yeah, I think he relies a little bit too much on that, and that's why his accuracy can be off. And oftentimes too, like his release wasn't consistent. I felt like sometimes he was throwing in different ways, and I know like arm angles are a thing, but you watch these guys that throw at different arm angles, they're more natural throwers, and it just doesn't feel like Levis at times is a natural, like in terms of accuracy. I'm saying mostly of an accurate thrower, but yeah, I also wrote down too very similarly, like end of first round. I feel like would be a proper grade for him, but it's hard to tell how teams feel about the draft overall. So he could be taken early, mid, or later, but.
And the tough part with just to interject real quick, tough part with QBs too is that 5th-year option is so valuable with that position. So like, you know, I see a lot, even quarterbacks below him could even jump into the first round just because of that.
Yeah, and agreed. So and like these things are fixable. It's not like terrible things that, you know, these, especially it's usually the opposite for young quarterbacks in terms of trying to get them to stay in the pocket, really outside of Daniel Jones, where, you know, most of the time these guys, they sometimes bail on the play too soon. You know, I mentioned that with one of the guys going forward, while Levis, I guess, like there are positives kind of be taken out of some of these negatives. But yeah, I am very concerned about just the accuracy because sometimes that's hard to fix. You know, especially mechanically at this point. But and because, like I said, it was just so inconsistent. It's not like he was consistent with his form, and you know, it was just inaccurate at times. I saw a couple of different releases and just bad decisions. So, and my comp too, I ironically, just adding on to poor decision making, was like a poor man's Carson Wentz kind of coming out. Once again, not really a knock on him, but that's just I kind of got vibes off where. Great talent, but can make questionable decisions, not just throwing the ball, but trying to keep the play alive within the pocket. So that is my number 4. John's number 4 also. So we both have the same number 4 in Will Levis out of Kentucky.